Eila and Something Shiny, chapter number 2. Come on back after the break. Hey everybody, welcome out to the show, Board Game Reviews. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to the tabletop gaming hobby, and this video is part of the video series looking at Eila and Something Shiny. Now in this video we're going to play through chapter number 2, and this is a first chance to start showing you a whole bunch of the extra gameplay that comes with the game. We're going to give you this warning right now. Most of you shouldn't need this, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. Spoiler warning. This game is a campaign-based game. Chapters 1... Actually, I should say Chapter 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're going to be played as a progressive storyline. As you go through the storyline, new mechanics get added in here. So I would say watch this video to see how the gameplay mechanics evolve. But at the same time, I'm going to say don't watch the video if you want to avoid spoilers, because there are going to be spoilers here. I'm going to have a full tutorial video. Click the link up above, and I'll teach you how to play the game, minimizing the spoilers, but you know what? Go ahead and watch this video. You'll enjoy it. There's still 3 more chapters to go after this, and lots of replay right in the game through the advanced mode. Now, if you have any comments, questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I will do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me at offtheshelfboardgamereviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. I'll do my best to answer your emails as quickly as I can. If you enjoy the channel, you join the content I put out there, think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. Just tossing $1 in the tip jar over on Patreon is a wonderful way to say thank you. This channel is 100% sponsor free. I don't do gimmicks. I don't do games. I don't do Kickstarters. Just toss on $1 in tip jar is a great way to say thank you and show support and help keep the channel growing strong. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Those YouTube analytics are extremely important because, like I said, sponsor free. Now let's go ahead and get into the video for Eila and Something Shiny. Now, like I said, this video is going to have some spoilers for chapter number 2 because we're going to play through the entirety of chapter 2. The cool thing here is now I actually get to start showing you some of the gameplay, because some of you who watched chapter 0 and chapter 1 may have noticed that there's extra tokens, extra components, and dice and other cards and stuff like that you haven't even seen come onto the table yet. But that's because, like I said, this is a progressive campaign system. As we play through it, we're adding in more mechanics. And in this video, we're going to add in the combat mechanics, and we're also going to add in the ability to have well, let's just call it a memory style game where you need to actually start paying attention to the cards themselves, because we have cards that are going to come out into the game now where they're going to ask us questions about cards we've experienced. If we remember the answer, we get some cool, awesome rewards. If we don't remember the answer, we don't get those rewards, and that question card, whether we get it right or wrong, is out of the game. So now we got to start paying attention to 2 things: our decisions, our storyline, and what the heck we've been doing, and we got to keep track of that to make sure that we're not missing out on these wonderful, great rewards. Because when it comes to combat, we only have 1 die to fight these combats, and some of these enemies have a strength all the way up to, well, this isn't a spoiler, all the way up to 12. Not only that, we now have multiple endings coming to the game. Yep, you see how much the gameplay is now evolving. It's kind of funny. I almost feel like I should throw a review in at the end of this video right here, because with my actual review for the game, I try to keep it spoiler minimized. Might sneak it in there at the end, depends on how I feel. If you watched my channel before, you know this is totally unscripted, because my feelings are, if you're passionate about something, you don't need a script, just talk about how much fun you're having. But that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into the game. Chapter number 2. Let's do the setup right here, right now. So starting out, we have chapter number 2, and there's a couple different things we need to cover very, very quickly. Of course, we always have our standard board with our habit cards and their items that we're going to get. But now we have the fact that we now have our save box. And our save box is where we're going to keep the things that we gather throughout our journey. The first thing that we're going to get is our habit cards. Now, as we start getting multiple of these habit cards, we can actually decide in what order they're going to appear. But they always are going to appear at the end of our day, because good habits reward you at the end of the day. Not only that, we now have our item cards, and we're going to stick our item cards right over here on the left. Next thing we have is our standard chapter box, which is going to have all of our chapter cards. We can put that off to the side, and we now see we have our prologue and ending 1 and ending 2. We won't ruin the endings quite yet. We're definitely going to ruin one of these endings, but we'll find out which ending we're going to ruin when we get to that point. We'll cover that prologue in just a moment over on the Eila cam. Next thing we need to have is we need to make sure that we're looking right side of the deck. So this says, don't spoil the game. Make sure you flip it over. Again, we have our double-sided end game gold card. And we, as I've said in the earlier videos, while we do have the advanced side, we're not going to play on the advanced side. We are going to play on the standard side, where we have 5 hearts, 5 lives, And this is me editing out the 2.5 minutes it took me to get the hearts facing straight because I just drank a whole pot of coffee. Let the shaking begin. So next thing we need is, since we decided on what side of the deck we have, we need our current chapter deck. But next thing we need is this nice little section right here. It says, hey, stop, hey, stop. Well, it's no longer time to stop. It's time to start going because now we got some extra stuff that's going in. First thing that we are going to have and that we're not going to use, but we can actually start using at this point is if we play with the advanced side, we would start sliding in these advanced cards. Now this 216 advanced will replace the basic 216 that's in this deck that came from chapter 2. This 227 would do the same thing. 236, 240, 242, blah, 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 blah. These would all be the advanced cards if we wanted to play with the advanced side. Again, that does show you the replay potential for the game. But the other thing we are going to get is going to be our special ability cards. Ooh, spoilers, Fireball, Swordmaster, Healing. Ooh, we may have a little bit more adventure game going on here than we saw in the first two videos. These are going to be cards that we can go ahead and earn. They're going to go on the bottom of the deck right over here, giving us extra special rewards. So we can go ahead and put this away right now because we are definitely not going to be playing with those advanced cards. While they do add some good things to the game, we're not going to add them because I don't want to over confuse this video series. Basic standard gameplay. You want to see the advanced gameplay? Well, go ahead and subscribe, leave comments down below. If I get enough questions or requests for it, that's something I can definitely add into the video rotation. Next up is we're going to have EQ 1 through 5, no relation to EverQuest. And then we have our center deck. Remember, we're going to take all the green cards, 201 through 207, which is going to be our evolving story. This is going to go in front of our habits. Remember, our habits always go to the end. Our future cards are going to be the next 208 all the way through, I think it's 227, right? 227, no, 228, I was off by one. That's going to be our advanced deck. And then we have our modifiers to the current storyline and our warning card we can go ahead and toss off to the side. Now these cards right here, we don't have to shuffle them right now, but when we do draw these cards, we are going to shuffle them every time. There are 1 through 5 of them. Not going to spoil them right now, but just understand that these are going to be the memory element of the game. Yes, we do have a little bit of a memory element. So it's time to start paying attention to all of our stuff that's going on in our storyline, because if we fail that, we're not going to get these resources. I can tell you right now, if you don't get at least a couple of these, some of these fights, oops, spoiler, oh well, I already told you there's a fight die involved in the game. But if we don't get enough of these resources, some of these fights can be really challenging, and we're probably going to lose them. So that's all the fun and the setup. Let's go ahead and go to the prologue and go over to our Eila cam, where we're going to read the comic book for Eila cam. Of course, you know I'm going to do this kind of quickly, because I want you to enjoy this game when you actually play, but we're going to be out traveling. We're going to see an interesting factory. Interesting enough, this chapter is called The Factory. Something's going to happen. We're going to encounter somebody. They're going to tell us about some horrible goons. And then we're going to get the goal of the chapter. I already went over this to tell you how to do this, but just in case, the gold card already shows us submit 10 knowledge within 7 days. No submissions before the 3rd night. So the first 3 nights, we cannot put anything out at all. Nice thing you're going to see is that we have this infinity symbol, which means that we can put out as many as we want. So if we don't have the limitations of chapter 0 and 1, where we can only put 1 or 2 resources at a time, we can put out as many as we want. So that's going to be part of our strategies. We actually, for once, get to start with some resources. We start with 3 carrots, 2 coins, and 1 magic rock. And it also says the chapter components are the gold card, the quiz cards, EQ 1 through 5, AQ 1 through 5, and event cards 201 through 242. Sorry about the glare. And now we're ready to begin our story of Eila through her journeys throughout the factory. Card number 1, welcome speech. Welcome, newcomers. Work hard and do your best. Listen attentively. Gain 2 knowledge, gain 2 fear. Also gain card number 208. Make new friends instead, gain 1 fear in card number 229. So we're already starting things off seeing that we need to make a great choice. Luckily, we know that our wonderful little habit card, which is going to be coming along pretty soon, is going to help us out here quite a bit, because we know our habit card is going to get rid of 3 of this fear. So we're actually not too terrified. Terrified, get it? Fear. No, I didn't plan that at all. Bad pun. So we're going to see that even though we're going to gain 2 fear, we can actually get rid of that card very quickly because we have our wonderful habit card that's all the way in the back there. And I think that's the way we're going to go and start this one out. So let's go ahead and gain 2 knowledge, which is going to be one of our more abstract resources. We'll gain 2 knowledge. Remember, we need to get 10 knowledge before the end of the 7th day to beat this adventure. Then we're going to gain 2 fear as we learn about the horrible, horrible corporate lifestyle that this is coming over here with the evil cat fox guy with all his minions. And we're going to get card number 208, which is going to go into our future. This card is now finished. We've made our choice, which means we are never going to see what 229 does, at least not from this card. And that speech can go into the future. And I know I said future, I really meant the past. Next card up is gonna be card number 202, Working in the Workshop. As corporate America grinds down your soul. No, I ad-libbed a little there. Working in the workshop. We can either decide to finish our tasks properly, or we can slack off, scolded by the boss cat. Well, to finish our task properly, we need to have 1 energy and 1 knowledge. I do have carrots right here, which I can burn to go ahead and create 1 energy if I really, really wanted to. But do I want to burn off the energy right now? Do I want to burn the knowledge? Or do I just want to go ahead and get the fear? Because I know I need these resources very, very quickly. It's kind of the thing I need to decide right now. I know that I can get rid of 3 fear pretty darn easily. And I don't think that's terrible. And again, this is all part of the game and part of the decisions you need to be making as you play the game. I don't want to burn resources quite yet. And I know I can get rid of this fear, hopefully. Hopefully I didn't make a bad decision. Well, we will all see very, very shortly if I made a bad decision. And this card is going to go into the future right here, just like this. I think we should go ahead and make 1 energy right now because I think we'll be needing it pretty darn soon, possibly. Let's go into card number 203, where it's going to be time to take a break. Time for a break. Do we A, go to the canteen, B, go to the rooftop, C, remain in the workshop? Otherwise, it's going to be card number 230, 231, and 232, and then this card is going to remain and go into the future, which means we get to see what this card is again. I'm going to say at this point, let's not remain in the workshop because the workshop is full of fear and horror, and our fear track is a little bit too full, and I don't really like that. So let's go ahead and go to the canteen, and hopefully in the canteen we can actually get some food. So we're going to add card number 230, which is going to be our next card. So let's grab 230. And card 230 is going to be at the canteen. So we basically have 2 options here at the canteen. We can gain 3 energy, not going to happen because I don't have any room for it, or we can gain 4 food. And the nice thing is that we see from this symbol right here that this card is going to go back in the stack, meaning that we can visit the canteen again at the future. So let's go ahead and take our 4 food, putting us at our maximum food, and then this card will go right back into the card of present deck, and we get to go on to our next card right now. Our next card is going to be At the Chameleons. At the Chameleon says, these manuals may help you with your report. Would you like a copy? For every 2 gold I get rid of, I can gain 1 knowledge. Well, I do have 2 gold, but I don't have any room for the knowledge right now. But this card at least lets me know that if I start gaining money, I can use the money to go ahead and gain knowledge. Remember, we need 10 knowledge to go ahead and solve this complete quest or this complete chapter and move on to chapter number 3. This card goes into the future. And then we're going to get card number 205, which is going to be the Canine Gang. No foreshadowing at all here. None whatsoever. Don't you know the rules here, newbie? Only the smartest can survive. Do I A, give them foods, B, give them coins, C, refuse to give them anything at all? So now we see that we've got ourselves in a little bit of pickle, and we see that this is why our decisions actually matter as we're playing through the game. Yes, I can get rid of the fear here eventually, but the problem is this fear is completely hampering my first play, or my first day of play that I'm trying to incorporate right here, which is causing me all the problems. So we see right here that I am basically going to lose one of these resources over here because I don't have room for that other fear. I definitely don't want 2 fear, even though I like to tell them to go, you know, take a flying leap. But I can't, so I can either give them coins. Don't want to do that because I know coins can buy me the knowledge, so I don't want to do that. Or I can give them food, which I think is going to be the least impactful for us right now. It's either going to be one of these 2. And we pretty much assume that this probably means that they're going to come and harass us again at a later date, because both of these allow us to say that we'll do whatever you tell us to do. So let's go ahead and take the least painful one I'm thinking right now, which is to get rid of the 2 food. And then this card is going to go into the past, and we're going to take 1 fear. Unfortunately, due to this fear, we need to get rid of a resource. Don't really want to get rid of that resource, but I don't have much options right now. And then this card is going to go into the past. But before we do that, we need to make sure we take card number 210 and add that into the future. This card will go into the past, and now we get to pick our next card, which is going to be card number 206. 206, a mysterious gift. Someone left a fresh carrot at your station. Take it. Well, this doesn't give us a lot of options, but at least it does give us 1 wonderful thing in making up for some of the things we've lost. So let's go ahead and gain the 1 carrot. And this goes into the past, and then we're going to gain 212, which is going to go into the future. And we're starting to see that we're getting a lot of cards coming into the future already. But we are almost finished with day number 1. 207, Mr. Rat's Caravan. Chop top! We won't let Boss Cat see us. A, buy food. B, sell food. C, buy an item. Well, here's the unfortunate thing, and this is all goes along with how that you need to play through these chapters, kind of learn the strategy of these chapters, and understand these resources that you need for every one of these chapters. We see that we can use money to buy food, we can use food to gain money, or we can buy an item, but we can't do all 3 of these decisions. And I know we want these items really, really badly. Unfortunately, we don't have enough money. If we had 1 more coin, this would actually be really, really great for us, but we don't have it. So I'm thinking that we're going to sell our food on a 1-for-1 basis here. As long as we have at least 2 food left over, I think we're going to be A-okay. So we're going to take option number B. We're going to sell 2 food. Maybe. There's a sign. I couldn't pick up the food. It means that we should not be doing this. It's a terrible decision. Oh well, let's live with our consequences here. So we made that choice. We decided to sell food. So that's going to be option number B, and this card will go into the future. Now we're going to get our final card right here, which we know is going to be music. Now music, we have 2 options. We've seen this card before. This is our wonderful habit card that we got in an earlier chapter, and this card gives us the ability to get rid of fear. Matter of fact, if we manage to find that harmonica, we're going to get rid of more fear, and we're even going to use this card to make money. So now let's go ahead and take option number A, because we can't do option number B because we don't have the harmonica to do so. So option number A is we are going to get rid of 3 of our fear. So this is actually pretty good for us. At least it means that we're not getting close to losing, because remember, as these fear spaces fill up, they're going to get rid of our resources over here. And if this is all full and we need to take more fear while this is full, remember that's going to be points of damage that we need to suffer. So that's going to pretty much end the first day. Let's go and add the card over here. And before we go anywhere, let's go ahead and burn 2 of our food to gain 1 energy, because remember, we need 1 energy at the end of every single day during the night phase. Otherwise, we're going to start losing heart. So let's make sure we do that right here, right now. Otherwise, we're going to learn it. That is going to be a little bit painful for us. So let's go ahead and do our end of phase, our night, because our day is complete. So the first thing we have the option to do is move any of these resources up that we want to. So let's move 2 of our intangible knowledge resources up to the top there. We only need 8 more to go. Next thing we need to do is we need to spend 1 energy or 1 life. We're definitely only going to spend that. And I just realized I'm cheating. We're not on day 3 yet. I can't do that yet. Oops. Minor rule forgot. Sorry. Happens sometimes. And then finally, we are going to shuffle the deck, which is going to be our next deck of events. That's going to happen on the next day. And this is going to affect how things are going to go for us. So let's just give this a really, really good shuffle. And we'll cut it. And that will be good for us. Not a lot of cards yet, but there's definitely going to be a lot of cards added as we start day number 2. Card number 1. Well, this is actually a pretty good start for us. 204 at the Chameleons. These manuals may help you with your report. Would you like a copy? Well, let's go ahead and take 2 of these. And let's take 2 of these, because remember, it's 2 per knowledge. And that's going to allow us to gain 2 books of knowledge, because I spent 4 of the coins there, which is a good start for us. Add these to our intangible resources column over here. And this card is going to go into the future. Next card up is going to be our habit of music. Why, yes, we are definitely going to sing us a little bit of happiness. Get rid of 3 of the fear. That card is going to help us quite a bit. Next up is going to be Mr. Rat's Caravan. Well, let's see here. If we had any money, we could be buying or selling food or anything like that, or we could have bought that item if only we would have got a money card sooner. Unfortunately, we don't have a money card, so this card is going to go into the future. Next up is going to be Canine Gang Returns. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, this is not good. So it says it's time to show us some respect. Canine Gang Returns. It's time to show us some respect. A, give them coins. Don't have any. B, let them shove you around. Unfortunately, this game is not called Kung Fu Rabbit, so unfortunately they are going to shove us around a little bit, and we are going to gain 2 fear. Our fear track is not full, so this isn't terrible, but we want to make sure this doesn't keep filling up. So we don't have the money for them, so that doesn't mean that they're not going to come back at a later date and keep taking our money from us, but we're going to gain 2 fear. This is going to go into the past, but we're going to gain card number 211, which I'm assuming, much like the rain from chapter number 1, is going to continue to be our basic threat that's going to make it so we're going to have to burn through resources. Next card up is going to be card number Time for a Break. So remember, we know what the canteen does, we don't know what the rooftop does, and we don't know what the workshop does yet. Do we go for a little variety, or do we go back to the canteen, which is the guaranteed one we know, because we definitely know we want food. Let's go ahead and go with the guaranteed one, which is going to be card number 230. And just to save a little bit of time, let's just grab this card really quick like that. 230, gain 3 energy or gain 4 food. Don't have room for the 3 energy, but I definitely have room for the 4 food. It's not as quite of a good ratio, but at least it's going to be, it's actually honestly a wash right here, because I could always burn 4 food to gain 2 energy, or I could just take the 2 energy, which is all I have room for. So it's kind of a wash, but at least this I know I can sell for money. This is going to return over back into the red stack, and let's go back to our next card, which is going to be Boss Cat's Quiz. Boss Cat's Quiz. Let's see what you have learnt. Get ready for the quiz. Card number 114 and 215. Reveal a random easy quiz card. That's going to be EQ for easy quiz. So first thing we're going to do is reveal card number 214 and 215. So let's go to our future deck and look for 214 and 215, just like that. And now let's reveal a random quiz card. So let's shuffle up all these quiz cards, and then one of these quiz cards is going to be the quiz that we need to go through. And let's just do this. One good rifle shuffle. And number 5. Quiz card number 5 is 4 workers who produce knives. What color is their uniforms? A is green, B is red, C is yellow, D is blue. Now I can't remember if we have actually seen the knife people yet. I know we saw the fork people, and the fork people were blue, if I remember off the top of my head. But I can't remember if we've seen the knife ones yet. I played this recently, and I think it's actually number C, yellow, if I'm going off the top of my head memory. I do believe it's yellow. Except now I don't feel if I'm being honest and using knowledge from a prior game or not, which could be unfair. And if I am, well, you just make fun of me in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure it is going to be C, yellow. So to find out if we're right or not, all we need to do is go to page 15 of the rule book, which is the rules for chapter number 2. And this is going to be in the 2.2 version of the rules, not in the earlier editions of rules, which have been rewritten a little bit for better clarity. But I think it's page 15 of the 2.2 PDF version of the rules. But we're going to go to that page, see if our answer is right. And then if our answer is right, we're going to gain 2 coins. And if our answer is wrong, we're not going to get anything. Either way, this card is going to be gone. So let's go ahead and look at our answer. And our answer is C, yellow. So we're going to gain 2 coins. Let's add the 2 coins to our inventory right there. And then we can take this card. Remember, this card is now removed from the game. We will not see that easy quiz ever again. Next card up is going to be card number 212. And I'm sorry, I should say, obviously, this card went into the past after the quiz. Next up we have is going to be the encounter. We've already seen this one before. This one is going to be accept a gift, which I actually put in the wrong pile earlier. Once we got this gift, no, wait, this is a new gift. Sorry, I'm confusing with the other gift. So this gift right here is going to be +1 carrot and 217 and 218. Hi, my name is Leo. Nice to meet you. Gain 1 carrot and card 217 and card number 218. Now while we're grabbing cards number 217 and 218, make sure you're looking at what color Leo's uniform is. That could become important at a later date. Or maybe it won't be. Who knows? Again, this is all part of the memory concepts of the game. So 217 and 218 will be added in. We will gain our 1 carrot, which means we're pretty much at the max for our tangible resources. And this card is going to go to the past, so we will not see that card again. Then our final card is going to be card number 202. Now this one is actually kind of a little bit of a persnickety one for us, because we know that we need to trade in 2 carrots to get 1 energy at the end of the day. We know that we need 1 energy, and this is going to take 1 knowledge. Now the other option is just to slack off, which is going to give us 3 fear, which means we would lose this, and then we would have to lose this in addition to make room for the energy for the end of the day, because this is the last card we are going to have. So looking at that, I'm thinking that the better idea is to actually go with A, finish the task properly. So before we do anything, let's go ahead and cash in 2 carrots for 1 energy, because we're going to need that here in just a second. Maybe this isn't the better way to do this. Oh well, we'll find out in just a second. So now we're going to burn 1 energy, and then we're going to burn 1 knowledge to make sure we finish the task properly. May not be the best decision, but sometimes you have to take the bad decisions to go with the good. Otherwise, you will lose very, very quickly. This will be the energy we need for the end of the day. And now let's go to the end of the day. We can't add any resources yet to the end of day number 3. So we can go ahead and bypass that. We will take one energy token just like that, and then we will shuffle the deck of cards, which we now see is starting to get a lot thicker for us, and we're starting to see a lot more cards are coming out. So let's give this a good shuffle really quick, go through all these cards, and then once we have a good enough shuffle, we can go ahead and add this onto our deck, and we can begin day number 3. First card is going to be card number 202. Wow, just did not want to see that this early. Well, we can't get the knowledge or the energy at all. There's no way for us to do this, so we are going to get 3 fear. Telling you that harmonica is something we need to get as quick as possible. I still need 1 more money, and I need it before that 1 card comes back up. Otherwise, we're just going to basically run out of time here. This card is going to go into the future. Oh, we get our habit early. This is good. So let's go ahead and get rid of these 3 right here, right now. That was good, because I was starting to worry that we're not going to have enough room for any of these resources. Get rid of that. We will get a new card, Mechanical Failure. Mechanical Failure. A, fix it. B, inform the boss cat. Or C, ignore it. Now here's the problem with all these cards. We kind of have resources, but we don't have resources because the things are just not going in our favor. Maybe we should be taking hearts of damage and trying to ride that fine line. And sometimes you gotta make those decisions, especially when you're playing resource games like this. But we see that option number 1 would be great because I actually have the toolbox and I could do this if I had 1 energy. Unfortunately, I need 1 more food to do so. I'm not gonna inform the boss because things are just not going our way. So what I could do is just ignore it, which I know is gonna be an absolute terrible idea. But let's go ahead and ignore it and add in card number 224, because what's the worst that can happen? It's not like the factory is going to blow up into a fury ball of flames. Oh, wait. So card number 224 gets added in, and then let's go ahead and go to the next card, which is going to be card number 214. And now it looks like it's time for Boss Cat to give us another quiz. So Boss Cat's question. Time for more responsibility. Where shall I put you? May I work in the kitchen, or may I work in the archives? Now we can kind of think about this decision just a little bit, and we see that we're getting different cards, so it is going to matter. We're either going to get 219, 220, and 234, or 220, 221, and 235, which shows that we're going to get a little bit of a branching in our storyline here really quickly. What I am thinking, though, that is if I work in the kitchen, I'm thinking I might get food. Of course, if I work in the archives, I'm probably going to get knowledge. And don't forget, knowledge is what we need to actually win this. But without food, we're not going to get energy. So we also need food for money. So I'm thinking food is going to be the better place. So let's go ahead and decide that we're going to work in the kitchen, which is going to be cards number 219 and cards number 220. We will add those 2 cards into the future just like that. And then we need to find card number 234, which will actually be our next card that we're going to encounter. So put that in the future. And then this card goes into the past, and that's Boss Cat's question answered. Next up is going to be card number 234. We will reveal it, and that's going to be training time. Training time. Observe closely and work hard, or not pay attention. Either way, we're going to get habit number 4. We're getting a good habit out of this. The question is are we going to gain knowledge and fear, which we can barely hold, or we can lose fear and still gain the knowledge, or still gain the habit? Which is a better decision for us? So looking at our section of our resources over here for intangible resources, we can actually keep the 2 fear. Unfortunately, our wonderful habit card has already gone through, so that means this 4 fear is going to stay on the board right here. The good news is at the end of this turn, we can start putting knowledge over here, so that's a good thing. So I'm thinking that let's go ahead and just take the risk here. What's the worst thing that can happen besides horrible, horrible things? But I'm pretty much guaranteeing that at the end of this day, we're going to take a heart of damage because we just are not going to have enough room for energy also. So we have taken 1 knowledge, 2 fear, and now let's go ahead and take habit number 4. So we'll add the habit card to our stack right there, and we know that, remember, following the arrows, so we don't forget, these cards always become the next card that we are going to encounter. So make sure I don't do this out of order. This is going to go into the past. We don't need to worry about that card anymore. The next card we're going to get is the habit of cooking. We now get to be the Iron Chef. So we have a couple options here for cooking. A, find ingredients. B, make a simple dish, or C, cook a big meal. Now this habit card would be really, really great if I actually had some room for these resources. Unfortunately, I don't. So the only thing we can do is going to be option number A, which is going to need to give us 1 food. Hopefully this turns out to be a good decision for us. So this card is going to go into the future because we keep all our habits as we go throughout the campaign, and the next thing is going to be the gang strikes. And now we get to see exactly how combat works. So the gang strikes, you asked for it. We can fight them. Actually, we don't have a choice. We have to fight them. If we win, we're going to gain a card. If we lose, we're going to get defeated and we're going to lose a heart. The good news is I finally get to use my dice tray, my wonderful Christmas present that I actually enjoy using. So for the combat, we are going to roll the die. Now the way this is going to work is our target number is 4. If we defeat them, we're going to get a card. If we lose, we're going to lose a heart. Now, there's a couple different sides on this die. It's basically a 1 through 6. A 6 is a normal 6. A 1 is a rabbit with their eyes crossed out because, yeah, you pretty much rolled pretty horribly there. The nice thing is, after the roll of the die, if we want, we can discard energy tokens. For every energy token we discard, we're going to add +2 to our combat. Oh, wait. Additionally, we're going to see that the number 2 and the number 2 only when it comes to the red die. The green die is different. Future spoilers, we're not going to get into that quite yet. But you're going to see there's a shield here. If I roll a 2, even though I'm going to fail this combat, I am still going to block 1 point of damage, and that's only going to be on the number 2 side. So 1, we're pretty much doomed. 2, well, we're not going to win, but at least we're not going to take a wound. And if I get a 4, 5, or 6, we're going to win. So we basically have a 50-50 shot here. And knowing how my dice go, I'm actually going to be pleasantly surprised. So we got a 6. We can look over here that a 6 is equal to or greater than number 4, which means we have managed to defeat them. So they will go into the past. If we had actually lost the fight against them, they would attack us again on a future round. And we would see they'd keep coming back every single time, every single day to harass us, possibly costing us wounds and everything like that. But since we won, we're going to gain card number 216. So let's go ahead and grab card number 216. And we're running out of cards in the future deck, which means that we're actually advancing through the story pretty darn quickly. And since we won, we showed them basically that we're not going to take it anymore. Sorry, I had to make the reference. Now let's go on to the next day, or the next card. Same day. A creepy shadow. A creepy shadow. Don't be afraid. I'm here to teach you how to use the magical stone. I want to be able to protect myself. I want to heal my mind and my body. So now we're seeing again how this is going to evolve the story through all the chapters. These are permanent decisions that we're going to be stuck with through the entire 5-chapter story here. So if I pick option number A, I'm going to get card number 223, but I'm going to get this ability which doesn't carry through with me for the rest of the game unless I lose it somehow. And then this one is going to stick with me for the rest of the game unless something causes me to lose it. So I can read here that this is probably going to be offensive and this is probably going to be defensive. Either way, we're going to get to card number 223. So it doesn't tell me what either one of these cards are. Of course, I know because I played the game before. And no spoilers, not going to shout out Shoryuken or anything like that. Or maybe I just did. That's what happens when you don't have a script. You can kind of do whatever you want. So let's go ahead and look at the cards right here. And we'll scroll all the way down to number 1. And if it wasn't a clue when I said Shoryuken, then you didn't grow up in the 80s at the arcades. Or late 80s, early 90s at the arcades. So we will take S number 01. Let's put this down here on the side just for a second. We'll go over this card in just a second. But we're also going to get card number 223. Place that card right there in the future, and then this card will go into the past. And now we see that we can cast a fireball. Cast out a ball of flames to inflict extensive burns on target. Fireball spell. In combat, discard 1 magic stone to add +10 to your attack value. So our spells are going to go over here with the rest of our valuables, such as our toolbox and our magic pendant that we got in the prior chapter. But this is going to give us wonderful combat. And oh look, we got a magic star. I wonder if we're going to need this magic star for a tough fight that may be upcoming. We'll see, and let's go ahead and continue the story. Next up is 217, which is going to be working together. So working together says, the deadline is coming. Let's do our best, Eila. And I'm glad we can do this together. Gain 1 knowledge in card number 222. Unfortunately, we got to see that I'm not going to gain the knowledge. Now, the interesting thing about this game is, even if you can't gain a resource, you can still gain what you can. It's when you can't lose the resource, that's when you can't actually choose as an option. So I'm not going to gain the knowledge because I don't have any room for it. This card will go into the past, and I'm going to gain card number 222, which will be added into the future here. Put that in the future deck just like that, and let's go ahead and advance to the next card, and we're getting almost done with this day right now. Card number 207, Mr. Rat's Caravan. Would have loved to add 1 more coin before we got to this point, but I do not. So let's go ahead and take 2 food, And we will sell 2 food to go ahead and gain 2 coins. And that does mean we're going to lose a heart at the end of this day because I don't have any food for energy. Not that I had room for the energy anyways. And then this card is going to go into the future. Next up, time for a break. So I can go to the canteen, which we know is going to give me food. I can go to the rooftop, which we don't know about, or I can remain in the workshop. Part of me is thinking that we're going to go to the canteen because it's a known and I actually have room for the food. I don't have room for the other things. But just as a quick reminder of what that card does, it gives me 3 energy or it gives me 4 food. I'm going to go ahead and take the 4 food, which I only have room for 3 of, and then this card is going to go into the future and I will gain 3 food. Again, would have loved to have had that card before the sales shop, but it's part of the game, it's part of the challenge, that's part of the resource management of the game and making sure that you're kind of hedging your bets and remembering the cards as they come up and what may come in the future. Speaking of the future, now we're at the chameleons. Can spend 2 gold to gain 1 knowledge, and I don't have room. So let's just put that into the future. And then we are done with this day. So the first thing that we are going to do is add 1, 2, 3, 4 knowledge over here. Now I don't have the ability to pay the energy, so we'll take the heart right there. And then we will just shuffle the deck of cards. I want to make sure I'm kind of mixing this up really, really good. Let's start the new day. Working in the workshop. Lose 1 energy, 1 knowledge, or gain 3. Well, I don't like that at all. I don't have the knowledge. Well, this is just terrible. That was just not the right time for that card to come up at all. So we're going to gain 3 fear, and we know that we can only get rid of 3 of that fear. So this track is causing us lots and lots of problems right now. Next up. Well, this is a little bit better. Of course it is and it isn't. So we will spend 1 food because we will only gain 1 energy because that's all we have room for. This will go into the future. Next up is going to be card number 220, another quiz. Another quiz. Are you ready for something more challenging? I'm ready. Gain cards 226, 227, 228. Reveal a random advanced quiz card. So first things first, 226, 227, and 228. Which will be the last 3 cards in the blue stack just right there. And then we got to reveal an advanced quiz card. So let's go ahead and shuffle these up. And we will cut, and that will be our card. And we're going to get advanced quiz card number 2. Advanced quiz card number 2. Where may you see a red bird? In the canteen, in the corridor, in the workshop, or on the rooftop? Well, this is going to be a really unfortunate one because we have not actually seen the red bird yet, because I think I do remember where the red bird is. So our options here are, where do we see the red bird? Is either going to be the canteen, the corridor, the workshop, or the rooftop. Now the trick here you need to remember is that these clues aren't quite as obvious as you may think. When it's saying a red bird, it doesn't necessarily mean a character. It actually means a red bird that's flying through. And I'm just trying to remember if it's the rooftop or the canteen. I know one of them has a yellow bird, going off memory, and I know one of them has a red bird. I just can't remember if the rooftop was red. And maybe my brain's trying to do alliteration here. R, red, R, rooftop. Or maybe it's the opposite of alliteration. I just can't remember. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to roll a die here. If I roll a 1, 2, 3, I'm going to pick canteen. 4, 5, 6, I'm going to do the rooftop. And conveniently, we rolled a dead rabbit. Well, not really a dead rabbit, but it's a rabbit with their eyes crossed out because that's the number 1. And speaking of which, I actually want some more of these dice because I actually think that's pretty darn cool. I wouldn't mind using them for other games. So 1, 2, 3 was the canteen, so that is going to be our final choice. So let's go ahead and look up our answer. And the answer to advanced question number 2 is going to be canteen. Hey, cool. So we actually have this right. So let's go ahead and look at our rewards. Our reward is going to be 2 gold, which we don't have room for, but the important thing is we are going to get an item. So we'll go through the item deck and we will find the sapphire, which is the item we found here. And we'll flip this over and we see the sapphire here is a prize given by Boss Cat. This might become useful in the future. Anytime we can get rid of this card to gain 2 gold. So this is one of those times where we can actually get rid of these items and we're going to carry them forward through multiple different chapters. As you see right here by this line right here, it says anytime discard this to gain 2 gold, which can be very, very handy. So since this advanced question number 2 is gone, we will remove this question from the game. We will put the sapphire over here in our precious belongings that we have in our items. And since this card is complete, we will put this card in the past so we don't need to deal with that card anymore. Next up is going to be card number 224, which is going to be an explosion, which was caused by our very poor decision. And I guess the question was a poor decision or the only decision we could make? Either way, this is going to be pretty darn serious for us, and we're going to see lots of problems, and we're going to see how the challenges for the game can definitely ramp up as we start getting to the harder difficulties. So the first thing that's going to happen is we are going to lose 1 heart, and this is not going to go to the time track. We're actually going to lose that heart. Next up, we're going to gain 2 fear. Well, 1 fear will get rid of the energy that we worked so darn hard to get. Unfortunately, we don't have any room for the next fear, and since we don't have any room for the next fear, you guessed it, that does mean that we are going to take 1 more wound. We basically have 2 hearts left over, and things are looking pretty darn challenging and pretty darn grim for us to beat on this specific chapter of our story. So this card is finished. We will remove this card, and if only we had our harmonica to help us at an earlier date. Next up is Leo's company. I bet you're tired from writing reports. This would have been wonderful to have met Leo, you know, before the prior card. So we have option A, gain a knowledge. Not going to happen. Option number B, spend time chatting and discussing the fact that, hey Leo, where were you before we encountered that prior card that just caused everything to blow up on us? And we will go ahead and lose 1 fear. This card will go into the future, which is very nice because remember, we're going to need Leo's company in the future. Really, really badly. Next up is going to be Mr. Rat's Caravan. And finally, we now have the money we need to find out what the final item is, so this card is going to be removed. So the first thing we need to do is we need to burn through 3 money, and that's going to allow us to gain first card number 213. We'll add this over here, and now we'll see that we have the option to get 1 of 2 items. So the 2 items we have to choose between are going to be the harmonica and the big backpack. Now normally I would probably go for the big backpack, but I see how much that the fear is really, really hampering us, and if we don't get rid of this fear quickly, we're not going to win the game. There's no way we're going to win this chapter, so I'm almost thinking that the harmonica is one we want to pick. So look at the harmonica. It says, renowned to possess healing power, play some tunes to soothe your mind and soul. At the end of every day, we're going to gain -1, or I should say lose 1 fear, and this is going to be automatic. So let's place the harmonica over here, and we're going to keep it face up so we don't forget about the extra loss of fear, which is going to be very, extremely helpful for us. And then this card, we have done the final option, which is going to send this card into the past, and that card will not go up anymore. And that means that we can't buy and sell stuff anymore, although I'm pretty sure that's going to be modified here pretty quickly. Next up is going to be time for a break. Go to the canteen, go to the rooftop, or remain in the workshop. Well, we could use food again. We could actually use a lot of things. I am thinking that we don't have a lot of life. I don't have an option. We're going to go to the canteen. Now I'll show the card really quick again. We're taking the 4 food option because we can't take the 3 energy option. So let's go ahead and take the 4 food, which we have room for. 1, 2, 3, and finally 4 food. And yes, I have to make the carrots look perfectly lined up like that because it's more fun. We'll add this back into the future, and where, oh where is our wonderful harmonica? So don't have enough money for the knowledge. Not looking good. Next up is going to be Shadow's Offer. Shadow's Offer. Tired of writing reports? There are shortcuts, you know. What's the shortcut? Or B, I can finish them on my own. Now we don't quite know if Shadow's a bad character or not, because remember, he taught us how to cast a fireball, which is definitely a good thing. We're going to be using that fireball probably one day. But we also know that sometimes things aren't always good for us to do things like that. So let's go ahead and say I can finish them on my own, which will be card number 238. That goes into the past. And then we will find 238. And 238 normally would go into the future, or in the current. We would draw it and we'll flip it over. And then we will get Shadow's Prompting. This sword can protect you now. You can focus on your report without having to worry. Take the gift. Well, well, well. Finally, things are looking our way. So let's go ahead and dig through here to find the sword Glimmer. And we see the sword Glimmer is a lightweight yet powerful sword that strikes with precision and glimmers upon brandishing. In combat, once per combat, you may reroll Eila's die and use the new result. So it's a May, which is always nice. Of course, we're going to take the gift, which is minus fear and 1 knowledge. So let's lose 1 fear. Let's gain 1 knowledge, meaning that this day was not a total loss. And then this card is going to go into the past. Next up, card number 216, which is the gang leader. And before we do this, let's go ahead and find a way to get just a little bit of energy. I think we might need it. Okay, the gang leader. You think you've won. Wait till you've defeated me too. He has a combat of 5. If we beat him, we're going to get card 236. If we fail, we are going to get injured. So don't forget, we got our wonderful fireball. Whoops, right over there. We have our wonderful sword, and then we have our wonderful die. And we also have the ability to hopefully roll decently. Hopefully. And we will get a 4, which is not quite enough to beat him. But I could burn 1 of my energy, which is going to give me +2 to my combat, give me a total of 6 to my combat, which means that he will be defeated, and that means that card number 236 will be our next card. This card is going to go into the past. Thankfully, we did not take the wound, because wounds right now will be really, really challenging to overcome, because we only have 2 life left. And then let's see what happens with card number 236. Dog Gang's Defeat. About time. So Dog Gang's Defeat, continue to chase after them, gain a special item card, gain 3 money, and gain card number 225, or let them go and lose a fear. Now last time I played this game, or this chapter, this was actually a super easy choice for me. I chased after them. But right now it's not really a super easy choice for me, because my harmonica is not, or my singing is not working as well as I want. The card is just not coming up at the right time. So I'm really getting challenged. So while I like that, and yeah, there's that too, I'm also thinking that getting rid of this might be good. But on the other hand, I am going to lose 4 of these plus 1 more if I can just make it to the end of the day. I see that there's only 2 cards left. One of them is going to be my habit. And then the other one, I think, should actually be my other habit, because I haven't seen either one of my habits come across. So, knowing that, now, rethinking about this, I'm actually going to go ahead and pick continue to chase after them. So I'm going to continue to chase after them, and that's going to give me 2 things. It's going to give me this card right here. It's going to give me 3 money, which I only have room for 2 of right now. And then it's also going to give me card number 225, which will be added to the future deck. We only have 2 of these blue cards left. The Fang Bracelet, a symbol of power among the canine gang, worn to show prowess. In combat, +2 to our combat roll. So we'll add our Fang Bracelet over here, so we remember that we have 2 combat modifiers. Let's not forget them. And then with that, we also have this card right here. But either way, this card is going to go into the past, and we don't need to deal with that card anymore. Next up is going to be music. So now we see that we have our music performance, because we do have the harmonica. So that's going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 fear from us right now. It would also give us $1, but we don't have room for the $1, and we cannot interrupt a card to do transitions. We will do the transactions before the cards or after the cards. We cannot interrupt any of the things for the flow like that. So I couldn't just burn 2 carrots right now to get energy. I could have did it beforehand, which would have been smarter, but I completely forgot about the card. Oh well, my fault. Let's play smarter and play better. So this card is going to go into the future, and I guess now would be a good time to go ahead and remember that we can get energy this way. That's a smarter way to play. Finally, wait. Next one is going to be this card right there. Revealing, we get Working in the Kitchen. Working in the kitchen. Work cautiously, gain 2 energy, or you get burnt accidentally, take a wound, and gain a fear. Well, this is not going to be good. I'm going to lose a life, or I'm going to lose a life here pretty soon. Either way, I'm going to lose a life. So let's burn the 2 carrots to gain the 2 energy. And then we will spend the 2 energy to get the A for the work cautiously. And then this card is going to go into the future. So now we need to remember that we need to have energy. If we don't have energy, we're going to lose. Why will we lose? Well, you're going to see very quickly why we are going to lose. And this is going to be kind of painful. How these cards come out next day is going to be a big influencer on if we're going to win this chapter or if we're going to lose this chapter. And remember, this isn't even on the advanced difficulty, which makes it even tougher. On advanced, I'd be dead right now, sadly. So let's go to the night phase. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 of our knowledge. We're now up to 5 knowledge. I don't have an energy, so we're going to put a heart over there. We are now at day 4. Let's go in and shuffle the cards, and hopefully the cards will be, oopsie, the cards will be in our favor. So let's just do a good old-fashioned cut. And let's go in and start at day number 5 with a habit of cooking, of course. If I had 2 food, I can gain 3 energy, which would be perfectly exactly what I need right now. Let's gain a food. Your habits are great, but you wake up way too early in the morning to cook your breakfast. Way too early in the morning. Next up is 225, which is tribute from the Canine Gang. So the Canine Gang has realized that being mean to us was just not the way through life. Tribute from the Canine Gang, accept the money, gain 3, and this is going to go into the future. So the nice thing about this card is it does go into the future, which is good. That's kind of a nice thing. The bad thing is that it's not quite helping us quite yet. So we'll continue to get money from tribute from them, but, you know, still looking kind of really grim for us right now. Next up is going to be at the chameleon. Hey, this actually works out pretty darn good for us. So for every 2 coins we discard, we can gain 1 knowledge. I need to have a couple coins left over to buy food. Otherwise, we're not going to make it too far. So let's go ahead and play this cautiously. We'll discard 4 to gain 2 knowledge. And after this, we'll only need 3 if I make it through this day. Put this into the future. Next up is going to be working in the workshop. Burn an energy and a knowledge or gain 3 fear. I'm going to gain the 3 fear because I really cannot afford to do anything else. Into the future. And we're seeing that those are adding up quickly. And you know what? I forgot to do the harmonica at the end of the day. So actually 1 of these would be gone, right? Did I have 2 left over? Yes, I had 2 left over at the end of the day. So actually, this would have looked like this. And at the end of the last night, I would have got rid of that. And then we would have gained all of this fear just like that, right? Make sure I'm not cheating here. So I gained 3. Yes, only gained 3. Okay, next card. Sorry, a little bit of a fix right there. Next up is going to be Ask Leo for Advice. Welp, Leo, I need your advice. I need advice on how I don't die at the end of this day. Next up is going to be music. Yes, finally. So we get to get rid of 4 fear because of our harmonica, which is going to be really, really nice. And we will gain 1 gold coin. Into the future. This goes. Next up. Working in the kitchen, burn 2 energy or lose the game. Well, this is how we can actually lose the game just the way the things go. I completely forgot about the working in the kitchen card, and it would have been much better if it would have been further in the back, but unfortunately it wasn't. And we have officially lost. I don't have any food. If I had 3 more food, I could have got 2 more energy. I don't, so we're going to take 1 heart. We've been defeated, and then we will gain 1 fear. So was it possible for me to survive this day? Let's see. If I had this card, that would have came up next. I could have spent 3 money, just like that, which would have gave me the 3 food I needed. And I could burn that 3 food to get the 2 energy, and we could have kept on going, survived for a few more rounds, get some extra stuff, and maybe possibly survive for another day transfer over these 3 knowledges, and then we would have only needed 2 more knowledge to finish up the day. That's a full playthrough of chapter number 2, at least a playthrough where you don't win the game. Now remember, every time you lose the game, if you don't defeat a chapter, you must replay the chapter, and you must beat the chapter to continue on our story. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy this video series. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. And also feel free to email me at offtheshelfboardgamereviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. I do my best to answer my emails as quickly as I can. If you enjoy this content and if you enjoy the videos I put out there, think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. Just $1 on the tip jar can help me cover my costs. No games, no gimmicks, no Kickstarters, no sponsors. This channel is 100% sponsor free. So tossing $1 on the tip jar can help me cover my costs and help keep the channel going strong. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching. But wait, there's more, he said, because he doesn't script any of this stuff. You know, I said at the beginning of this video that I was thinking about possibly putting don't want to say a real review at the end of this playthrough, but a review where I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about the game. Because when I actually do my review of this game, I am not going to be a lot of spoilers. I'm going to try to cover the aspects of the fact that this is a family-friendly game. It's a challenging game, and it's a game that actually evolves. And those are going to be basically the strong points that I'm going to cover as I play through, or when I do the review for the game. Because I think that's where this game shines. This game really does shine as a family game. I know it's listed as a one-player game, but to me it's really a family game. It's a game where I would have loved to have with my kids when they were younger, to play through with them and just, you know, have a good good time with my kids. So what we did when we were younger, or when they were younger, actually I guess when I was younger too, it's been, oh my gosh, I got teenagers. What goes with the time? It's like time just blinks away. But when they were younger, I enjoyed playing games like Catan Jr., Kids at Carcassonne, other games like that, even Quirkle games like that. We never really played any of the mass market games. We actually kept all the mass market games out of our house. Disney Monopoly never made it through my front door. Disney Sorry never made it through my front door. Star Wars whatever never made it through my front door, because I wanted my kids to play good games. And that's where this game falls. This game falls in as a game that's really good for families to play together. Yes, this is a game that is truly a solo game, but this is one of those games where an adult can sit down with a child and play through chapter 0, play through chapter 1 with the younger kids, and they can have fun with it. But you can keep going beyond that. You can play through chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5 and start seeing the extra challenges for the game. And it's kind of cool in a way, because this is a game that actually gets more challenging as the chapters go on. Chapter 2 is kind of like a memory game. And I won't get too much further into the spoilers, because every single additional chapter is going to add a new mechanic into the game. Matter of fact, chapter 3 actually has I think I'm okay with spoilers here. Basically, we're going to lay out some cards, and it's going to create kind of like a map effect and everything like that. And we're going to explore the game through that different way. Again, I'm keeping this kind of vague, because I don't want to do too much on the spoilers there, but it's kind of cool how every one of the chapters evolves. The basic gameplay mechanics of the game are actually really simple. This is a resource management game with a very, very light story on top of it. It's a very light story with decisions, but the decisions keep the game really family friendly, which is really cool and something I really enjoy about the game. But it's not easy. It's actually really interesting. When I first saw this game, I was kind of like, it looks like a kid game. I really don't cover kid games on my channel too much anymore, because, you know, my kids are older and it's really hard for me to cover kid games. When they were younger, I used to love to cover kid games with them a lot, because it was cool. It was actually games I was playing with them. I want to share those with you all out there and show you these fun games that you can play with your kids without subjecting them to the horrible Hasbro games, Monopoly, Sorry, Trouble, all those games I just think are absolutely terrible to subject your kids to. Those are the reason why kids don't like board games, because they're subjected to those horrible games at a young age. But this game is actually challenging. I actually am okay playing this game as an adult, especially when I play on the advanced setting, because on the advanced setting, it's challenging. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say that I get into the storyline that much. I pretty much, when I play the game, I go, okay, option A or B. I need these resources. I have no room for those resources. Taking B, let's move on. So I flip through the cards really, really quickly here. And it's playable, it's challenging, and you actually see in this video that I was actually trying to win. I played the chapter before, and last time I played it, I actually did pretty darn decently, but I didn't have the harmonica, which is interesting. I actually played through the first time I played through this one was a kickback from chapter 0 or chapter 1, where you get the choice between the harmonic, or not the harmonica, I mean the habit. I'm talking about the habit here. You're going to get a spoiler here. If you don't want spoilers, well, then you're watching the wrong damn channel anyways. But you get the option for exercise. I played through with the exercise option, or is it exercise? Hold on. Now I'm doubting myself. I think it's exercise. I played this game now. I think it's exercise. And when I got to chapter 2 with exercise actually worked better for my choices than the music option did. Now, if you look at both these, you see that music really burns through fear, so fear isn't a problem. But exercise gives you energy, which allowed me to make my choices differently here, which allowed me to play through differently. So what I'm basically saying here is you have this game that looks like a really simple child-friendly game on the surface, but it's not. It's actually a game that really can be played by adults. An adult can have fun playing through this game, even if you don't want to get into the goofy story. And I know I'm saying goofy and it may sound as a negative. It's not a negative. It's goofy because I'm an adult. I don't get into, this kind of childhood whimsy. My games are Mage Knight, Clash of Cultures, war games, Twilight Imperium 4. Those are my kind of games. Big meaty games, big war games, area control, area majority games. I love my card games. You give me a really good card game like Race for the Galaxy, I'm into it. I love those kind of games. So this game had a lot of whimsy in it, which was kind of like a barrier for me at the first. I was like, it's a whimsy game. It may not be good. Boy, was I ever so wrong. And I'm happy to be saying I was actually wrong, because there's whimsy in this game, but you can look past it and play this game as a challenging game for an adult. It's actually kind of cool. So you can play this game with families, get the extra challenges, and talk through with your kids and have fun with it. Or you just play this game as just a really decently challenging resource management game where you're trying to resource management of your very limited amount of resources, your tangible and your intangible resources. You're trying to work through the way these cards are going to come out. And there is a little bit of randomness and there's a little bit of variety in this game, but it's not so punishing that the randomness will destroy you, although it kind of looks like that happened right here. It really didn't. If you go back and look at my decisions, I think my very first decision was actually not a good decision right in the beginning. I took too much fear too early, and then I was spending the rest of the chapter trying to burn that fear away because I assumed that my music would help me faster than that, and it just wasn't coming out fast enough for me. I took that wound because my fear track got filled up faster than my music could help me there. So my decisions, it's interesting, my decisions were bad. I lost due to a bad decision. I didn't lose due to randomness of the die roll because the bad guys, the dogs, where'd my die go? Oh my gosh, right there. I didn't lose because the die was hurting me. Even though the die was actually in my favor for the combats I needed for. I really lost here just due to bad planning. And that's kind of the cool thing. The planning for this playthrough started all the way back in chapter number 0. My simple choice in the beginning between music and exercise actually influenced my decisions. And I was playing chapter 2 like I had exercised, like I would not have any problems getting energy. I did. I was hampered with getting energy so badly in this chapter that is where I kept getting fear and I kept getting burned so badly. So it's cool. Progression through a chapter, progression through multiple chapters are going to carry on in this grand storyline all the way to the end of chapter number 5. So it's a cool game. I like the fact that this is going to be playable for multiple age groups. It's going to be playable for multiple families, and I like the fact that you get all these decisions in here. If I were to compare it to anything, if you're trying to think about where does this kind of sit on the scale of games, I would put this pretty close to like mechanically kind of like Role Player, because Role Player was a game where the mechanic in that game was you're trying to manipulate dice, but you're going through a storyline and you're going through multiple chapters. Your rewards that you get in chapter 1 are going to carry through forward to chapter 12. This game is going to be your rewards and resources carry from chapter 0 and 1 all the way to chapter 5. So it kind of gives you that aspect of an evolving game. But your enemy in this game is not the randomness of the dice, although dice will be a thing as you see as we get into further chapters. Your enemy in this game is the memory aspects of playing the memory games or the other little side games that are involved in the game, and also in managing this little track down here. This track right here, mixed in with the variety of how the cards are coming out, are the enemy in this game. You have to be controlling these two tracks, which are very, very limited. Otherwise, the cards are going to come out and the fear is going to start racking up and you're going to lose the game. So it's a cool aspect. I really enjoyed the game. And this is going to be one of those rare times where I'm going to be doing 2 reviews for a game. I have my review, which is going to be a separate video that you're going to get to watch. It's going to be part of the series. But I want to throw in these extra comments right here at the end of chapter 2. Why am I not putting these with my review? Well, because this is pretty spoilery, and chapter 2 is kind of spoilery. And I really appreciate how they designed the game to be a progressive story and how everything just carries through. There's a lot of aspects of this game for adults that are just, you'll never see, like the diary right here. This diary is really cool for younger players to play, especially with a parent, where they're going to fill in as they go through and
complete the chapters, see the different endings, and yes, you see there's multiple endings. We're going to keep track of the items, we're going to keep track of our supports and our habits, and maybe make a note. And then the next time you play, you're going to go to the next page. This will be another playthrough, this will be another playthrough, and there's multiple of these in here, which is kind of good. Gives you enough time to play through the game, enough time to get a good value of the game. That's really cool. I like the extra variety of the endings. The packaging here is really good. I'm not going to harp on the things I'm going to cover in my review, but this is just the things that I thought were a little bit too spoilery, and I want to just kind of do separately. And I kind of did this on a lark, and I just want to add this at the end of the video. I think the game is good. I really enjoy the game. It really, really surprised me, and I think that's the biggest compliment I can give to this game. I go through my life as a board gamer, and I'll look at games and say, oh yeah, no, that game's going to be terrible. I'm not even going to touch it. Or I'll look at games and say, oh my gosh, that game looks absolutely amazing. And so it's good when I get surprised in both aspects. I've seen games that I thought were going to be absolutely dynamite, get them home, throw them on the table, and say, wow, that was bad. I must have did something wrong. And I'll play it again. And I'll go, nope, it's still pretty bad, but I'm a reviewer, so I better play this game one more time. And I'll play it through a third time. I go, dear God, this game is horrible. And sometimes I will actually put up a review for the game because I'll be so surprised. I'll be like, I wanted this game to be good, and I'll do a review. Dungeon Saga. Sometimes I'll play a game that's so terrible, I'm like, yeah, I'm not even wasting my time. These videos are hours of my life. This video series right here is probably 8 to 15 hours between playthrough, recording, editing, all that stuff. So if a game is terrible, I'm not going to put a lot of time into it. So just the fact that I'm putting up a video here shows that I actually have appreciation for this game. This game blindsided me. I was expecting a younger kid's game, which is going to be a light, very little mechanics, very light on gameplay game, and I was totally surprised. I was totally blindsided, and I'm happy to say I was blindsided and surprised in a good way. Although, not going to lie here, cleanup is annoying having to reorganize all these cards. I know it's a me thing. Check out the other videos in the series, and as always, thanks for watching.